Welcome everybody, wherever you may be. I'm Chuck Horton of Double Cross Radio, coming to you live from Jefferson Republic, where we succeed every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Joining me tonight is my co-host, Drew Lamb. Good evening, Drew.
Hey, Chuck. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And I was just in the chat here with a lot of friends in chat, and several people were talking about what an awesome song that was. And yes. That song is Listen by Jordan Page off of his album called Liberty. And coincidentally, well, not really coincidentally, but Jordan Page is our guest tonight.
Is one of our guests tonight.
Yep.
And we also are joined by Gary Lake from Jefferson Republic. He's back with us. And Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here, guys.
Yes, and Jordan, welcome to you. It's nice to have the writer and singer of our theme song. It's awesome.
Nice to be here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, now, I also, for those of you who don't know, Jordan also has a lot of other things. There's some combination songs he's done with, I know he's done a couple of Dylan songs with Tatiana Moros, who was also a guest on our show at one time. But he also wrote a song for Ron Paul during the run for president. And in that song, I wrote just some amazing lyrics. And I just wanted to let everyone, I just love these lyrics so much I have to share them with everybody. Is the chains of, let's see, I forgot it now. I got it wrong.
I can help you out if you need help.
The bonds of slavery are forged with paper chains. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
All right. And I think that is probably one of the most truthful, amazing lyrics I've ever heard on any song ever. Okay. Well, that's just getting started tonight, and I had to indulge myself a little bit. So, first off, I wanted to, we're welcoming Jordan here, is to talk about all the things he's got going on right now. He's got a whole bunch of new songs. I've got to go up and listen to him play in Vancouver, Washington a few weeks back, and got to listen. Well, I've heard a couple of them already, but he has a couple other new ones that I hadn't heard before, and they're really exciting. And he's continuing to go around the country raising money and trying to get enough to get this thing going. So I want you to go ahead and start telling the people about this.
Well, yeah, I've got a new album in the works. I'm still trying to put the budget together to get it recorded. Hopefully that'll be in production and be pretty soon and be released sometime this summer. That's my hope. I got about 17 new songs that I want to record. I got more songs than that, but I got 17 that I want to record. I actually have enough songs for 2 albums, so I'm thinking of, if I can raise enough money, I'm gonna do both records and release them maybe 6 months apart. And it's just a roundhouse kick to the chest of the statist, fascist establishment that seeks to enslave us and our children. That's what I do. I used to write love songs, and but I still could. I'm just I love my wife very much, and but I've written 7 or 8 songs for her, and I'm writing songs about what's happening in our country now. I'm writing songs about what's happening to us as a group, as a community, and I'm touring all over the country, melting faces and with my high voltage Liberty Rock, and just trying to wake people up from the spell of apathy that they've been put under by the institutionalized, nationalized media, and just through popular culture, which, ultimately we're trying to change the culture and, get people who put so much of themselves and their energy into football, and that kind of stuff, redirecting it toward the fight for liberty in America. So, we're trying to free the slaves who don't know that they're enslaved. And that's really the goal. I use music as a vehicle to accomplish that. If I had a different skill set, I would use a different method. I'm a musician. I always have been, and this is the vehicle by which I accomplish that. So,
Yeah,
I'm torn coast to coast.
If I can say so, you do a wonderful job. I really, there hasn't been anybody like you since Bob Dylan, truthfully. It's just, you say it and the words must come to you somehow. I don't know. I could never ever put words like that together. It's like I said, it's amazing. And the one I shared with our audience about the bonds of slavery being forged with paper chains, I've never heard anything like that on the song until I heard it, and I stopped it and rewound it and played it again, and I said, wow. So you impacted me, if nobody else. So it's amazing. And almost all your songs are just full of stuff like that. I often make comments on our Facebook page that hardly a day goes by where I don't quote something from one of your songs. My favorite quote is by Dr. Paul. It's "Truth is treason and the empire of lies." But I have a lot of, I love "Don't be caught unaware when the heads start rolling," and there's a bunch more. And it's bringing truth to people through music, through culture, which is probably the easiest way to get it to them, because the great music kind of lulls them into it, and they hear it subliminally, and then all of a sudden they realize the truth without realizing it. So when someone does present them with the truth, they've already kind of accepted it because subconsciously they've heard it. And I think you're doing an awesome job.
Thanks, man. Well, that's the idea. Somebody told me a while ago that, I hadn't figured out how to really reach people with this medium yet because I wasn't writing songs that had any questions in them. And once I started asking questions, the first song I wrote with that was really full of questions was my song Liberty. And that's gotten the most, I guess I've gotten the most mileage out of that song. But that song I wrote for Dr. Paul, Light of Revolution, the one that you're referencing, was another song that's full of questions. Yeah. And that's why I think it probably resonates. I mean, when you ask people, you can point the finger at the problem all day long, but you only got 10 fingers. If you ask questions of people, when they come to answer those in their own time, in their own minds, their own hearts, they'll always have that truth. And it won't be dependent on what they think about you. So whether or not someone forgets my name or, thinks that I'm a jackass, it won't matter if I've asked them a question and they came to the conclusion on their own. Not that I told them the truth. I asked them to consider the truth. And that's, I mean, just getting people to think, getting people to talk, music has a very effective way of inspiring and evoking an emotional response in folks. And that's really what needs to happen. I think the real reason so many people have not, embraced what's going on and like the fight to restore liberty in America is because they haven't had an emotional response to it yet. And that's, they don't see how it affects them. And, but once they do see that and it becomes personal, and then they have a choice to make, whether they're going to go, be reinserted into the matrix or whether they're going to, become a liberty person and start spreading the message and educating their brothers and sisters. So what my job is to open the door, plant the seed, get people talking, get people thinking, get people caring. And then, then they start tuning into Double Cross Radio, and the rest is history.
Well, we hope they have, Double Cross Radio on in their bookmarks and tune it in. There's a lot of really good, freedom-oriented radio programs online all around the United States. So we're just one of them. We have a mutual Facebook friend down in Texas, John Bush. John Bush.
Yeah, John's my good buddy.
John is amazing. He is.
John's had a tremendous part in, since I woke up, in helping me to really understand the full scope of and full conclusion of libertarian philosophy. And at this point, I'm right there with him. I mean, I would consider myself, completely at least a philosophical anarchist. Absolutely. I've really examined the problem of the state, and it's the same problem we've had since the dawn of time. I mean, it's run by people. So,
Yeah.
I mean, right there is the problem. And I advocate a voluntary society, voluntary interactions without state interference. And, John's been a huge part of helping me to shape that view.
Yeah, it always seemed to be kind of a, difficult to comprehend how laws to regulate, people who aren't perfect could be enforced by people who aren't perfect. It just didn't seem to make any sense logically. So.
Well, if you change the statement of purpose of government functions perfectly. It is not run by incompetent people. It's just that the majority of folks are under the impression that the statement of purpose of government is to protect your rights and to, mediate disputes and to, all the things in that piece of paper that we argue about.
Yeah.
But really the purpose of this government is to enslave us and to have absolute control over every aspect of our lives. And that's what governments always end up trying to do, and it's easy to do when you have an uneducated and immoral population. We're so easy to control. The easiest way to deprive people of their rights is never teach them they had them in the first place. And then you couple that with just, flooding the culture with hedonism, flooding the culture with entitlement. And all of a sudden you already have a nation of slaves. You have a nation of sheep, and sheep are easily led to slaughter. And so we're trying to re-educate the sheep that each of us has the ability to be a wolf and to turn it around, on the establishment and not allow our country to fall into despotism and tyranny.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about this also. And you're going to be playing a concert here in the Jefferson Republic area coming up pretty soon, in about 6 weeks, 5 weeks.
That's right. March 22nd. Yeah. March 22nd. I'm going to be in Siskiyou County in, Wairika. And, I'm Gary Lake, who's on the show tonight, graciously invited me to be the headlining artist at a concert to promote the Jefferson Republic initiative that's on the ballot on June 3rd. We're trying to garner local support for that and get this initiative passed and really start setting a new precedent that and create a sovereign a sovereign republic out of Siskiyou County. How cool would that be?
I tell you, that'd be cutting those bonds of slavery right there. It'd be actually experiencing freedom. And for some people, it's a little scary. I mean, they think that the government is their protector. They don't see it as their slave master. But for those of us who see the reality for what it is, it's very exciting indeed. And it's going to be great to oh, by the way, Gary, Liberty Gal was the person that was with, Liberty Gal and Dwayne were with me when we met you up in Vancouver. So that's who Liberty Gal is. And she's saying hi, Gary Lake.
Oh, okay. Great. Hello.
Yeah. So anyway, this is going to be an amazing concert. And I hope that a lot of people from Jackson, Josephine counties turn, and maybe in Klamath County too. I think we have a few listeners over in Klamath County. I hope that a lot of you people get in your cars and travel down there and attend this concert. First of all, because you get to see Jordan Page, but you're also supporting this movement, which is really, really, really going to be an amazing thing if it ever comes to pass. And if it doesn't come to pass and you don't support it as much as you would have liked to, you're going to feel guilty the rest of your life. So I'm just going to save you a lot of therapy costs and a lot of, other things that could happen and tell you just go, pay some money and go and have a good time and meet other liberty-oriented people and enjoy some great music. Jordan can be a one-man band. He's amazing, and he's got a lot of new songs that unless you really are kind of a groupie or whatever, you probably haven't heard him. You have to travel around to all the concerts he does. He doesn't. And then, anyway, enough talking about that. I want Gary. I want you to kind of jump in here and tell us some more details about this concert.
Oh, sure, you bet. Basically, how Jordan came about with regards to this concert was we are, of course, on the ballot for June 3rd for the Jefferson Republic, and this is not like an advisory vote or anything like this. This is reality. I mean, this is the people voting, for the opportunity to vote and have their vote heard from here on out. With regards to their own regional needs and quality of life, and so it's kind of you guys. I actually real quickly, I'll just give it a real quick background with how Jordan came about. I have a good friend of mine, Darren Thornton, and he's always talking about Drew and Chuck and so anyhow, I'm pretty busy. I don't get a chance to watch TV or listen to radio, but I love hanging out with Darren and having lunch and stuff. But he kept on dropping Drew's name for the most part, and for a long time now, he's like, you guys ought to get together and talk and so forth. And so eventually Drew and I did get a chance to visit, and I'd been listening to Jordan's music, and I wasn't even paying attention. I liked it, but it was just kind of I'd hear it here and there and not delve into it. And so, anyhow, one day I'm just sitting there listening on the internet, and one of Jordan's songs came up, and it was kind of weird because my whole life I've been slumbering. You guys talk about being awake and waking up and so forth, and I normally would never have known what that meant. Probably if I didn't meet you guys, more than likely, but so, it's like I'm sitting there just thinking, okay, we've got to do something for awareness for this wonderful cause. It's historical. It's just, regardless of whether it passes or not. And we hope it really does pass, of course, but it's just a historical moment. It's showing people that there are other paths to quality of life and liberty and freedom within the Constitution. It's legal, and it's very patriotic, and it's what the founding fathers definitely wanted for us. Even wrote a provision in there for Anthony and Tizo for this they saw this was going to happen. So, so I'm listening to the radio and listening to the music, and I'm like, geez, those words are very powerful. And then I'm thinking about, awareness in Siskiyou County and stuff. And I just thought, man, and then I really started listening, and it was kind of like, being asleep. And, you got two alarm, you got to wake up anyhow, one way or the other. And one alarm clock is going to be police and fire engine sirens and flashing lights, and just out of a dead, boom, and they're blue and red lights zipping through your bedroom, and the other way of waking up is to some incredibly good music. And, that's very powerful and passionate. And I thought, man, what a way to educate the people in Siskiyou County is to give them this breath of fresh air, this incredible lyricist and his music, and how empowering and how now it is, and also inspire the younger generation, because that is so important to the future. Us old guys are like, I'm 50, and so I'm pretty much the old guy in most of my circles now, and I messed things up by not doing anything. And we keep saying, we screwed it up. We're going to give it back, to the younger generations. Well, that's not true. The younger generations are going to have to muddle through it. And, we're not really doing anything except for maybe letting them know we screwed it up for them. So I was thinking, how do I communicate with these, the youth? Cause nobody's really tapping that. And that's our biggest asset, in any country. The people are just the asset of everything. And, I'm thinking about these thoughts and liberty, and then all of a sudden a pendulum comes up, and then message of freedom, and then all of a sudden it's like, this guy is just, talking to me. So I called Drew, I said, hey man, I gotta, get in contact with that. And then I think Drew through Chuck, put me in contact with Jordan, and he was just so gracious to, sit there and talk to somebody so ignorant like me in such a profound and deep area, and, give us the opportunity to not only have an incredible time in sharing some, wonderful music and, just a celebration of freedom and liberty, but also, turning some people on to a message that's being delivered, in a way that is beautiful and empowering. And so there you have it. So we're just hoping that, people can come out to this event. And it's really neat because like Anthony and Tiso, he's an old, he's older than I am. And, he just loves it. He was listening to Jordan, and it's weird, to see guys, I won't say how old he is, but in their 70s or 80s or whatever. And they're like just totally digging Jordan's music. So I think I did the right thing. The younger people, they already love him. So it was a great thing. A lot of collaboration between Double Cross Radio, Chuck and Drew, and a lot of talking, and you guys educating me. And I'm just really honored that we've got such an opportunity to not only entertain, but educate the people at the same time. So we're happy. We're looking forward to it. Yeah. March 22nd, and it's $20, it's not a lot of money. And I don't mean to disrespect Jordan, because man, he should be getting like, $45, should be the cheap seats, the way he performs. But, people can afford it, and that's what it's all about. It's like, some people, it's gas. It's a tank, not a tank. That's my time. It's $5. That'll get you almost there and back from Medford, but, gives you enough money left over for some snacks and some, refreshments and $20 ticket and carpool, whatever. But, it's all about educating. And if we can do something here, then maybe, people will pay attention, but more importantly, there's this relationship that's being built between Southern Oregon and Northern California, or predominantly Siskiyou County and Jackson County right now, and Josephine and Klamath, of course, on other levels. But, it's neat because it also just happens to be the, Aboriginal ancestral territory too. So the Jefferson Republic, and Shasta territory, it's just all backyard to me, and I hope everybody from Southern Oregon comes over. So anyhow, there you have it.
Yeah. Now, are going to be concerts going on throughout the day, different people playing, and it's going to be the main attraction later on in the day, or how's it going?
No. Jordan is going to be the man, and we're going to have some, basically some guest speakers, and those aren't yet to be announced, but we're going to have guest speakers that'll be talking to some different groups, and it's going to be at the Siskiyou County Fairgrounds. It's kind of a loose thing in that whatever is the best thing and the best way to, communicate to the people of Siskiyou County is the most important thing with regards to how they're going to vote or not vote, in June. So some things might come up, we might get another group in, or, we might have a guest speaker, it's just really kind of up in the air, but those things will firm up here over the next 2 weeks. But, honestly, I don't mean to, disappoint anybody, and I don't think I could, but I don't know if there's anybody else that could play. I've got some really great friends that are in good bands and stuff that I don't think anybody else could deliver the entertainment value and the significance of the message other than Jordan. It's just, one of those things where, why dilute such a great thing? So that's my personal opinion, though, Not dissing any of my friends that are great, great bands, but, this is just perfect.
Have I mentioned I really, really like Gary? Have I mentioned that?
Yeah. Well, hey, you got a lot of fans here on this show.
Yeah. Jordan's got a lot of fans on Double Cross, man. That's a fact.
I agree with the last thing you said there about there isn't probably a performer out there that fits what you're trying to do in Jefferson Republic with Siskiyou County, and hopefully maybe some Southern Oregon counties will join you eventually. But what you're trying to do and the message that he sings about, those two things fit like a hand in a glove. And I couldn't think of anybody better for this job than Jordan either. So I'm glad he's going to be the main guy. Now, you don't have a schedule set up yet for when concert times are going to be or anything, but you'll let us know when those things come out, and we'll publicize it on our show and on our Facebook page for you. And
actually, if you go to jeffersonrepublic.org, on the front page, it's just right on the front page in the right upper right hand side. There's a link. It says Jordan Page on there. Just click on it. It's a link to his or the promotional page for him performing. And then there's also, you can buy tickets right there online. And I don't know if Jordan, if you've seen it or not. So I hope I did you justice in putting together a real redneck style promotional page. But,
hey, Gary, why don't you give everybody the website?
It's jeffersonrepublic.org.
I dropped a link into chat, right to the page, Gary.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot. I'm not as technical savvy as you guys are, you know.
No, it's fine. Yeah, if any of you guys want to follow me in the chat, just go to ucy.tv/XX. But before you do it, please mute your mic and then mute the player, or we'll get a bunch of feedback here. But there's a lot of fans in there throwing down some videos from Jordan Page. So,
Hey.
yeah.
You know, one thing real quickly I wanted to say is you know, the beautiful thing about Jordan playing at this event is his message doesn't have any, there's no boundaries. There's no lines. He transcends, I think, you know, every level of, you know, there's nothing partisan about his message, in my opinion. And, it's, you know, it's for everybody to know. It's just freedom and liberty. And that's the beautiful thing, because this new, constitutional government that's going to be voted on is, it's for all the people. And, you know, it's just, Sonia, I don't know if that made any sense, but that, basically what I'm saying is that Jordan's message absolutely speaks to anybody, anywhere, in any level of politics or government or whatever.
Yeah, Gary, I mentioned before I had my mic muted. I had to clear my throat just when you asked that question. It made a lot of sense to me. And I think anybody that really understands the message of freedom, which is another tagline for Jordan, some of the song he has. But if anybody, the people that really understand that, this is just confirming what they already believe. But I think the real power is the people that haven't really come across that message yet. When they hear it, it's like Ron Paul says, they can't unhear it, and it just keeps echoing in their mind. And they start seeing things happen, and they remember that song, and they see something else, and they remember that other song, and so that it's kind of like gently being shaken side to side to kind of wake you up in the morning. It's not like you were talking earlier about the sirens and flashing lights and people banging on your door to wake you up. It's the gentle waking up, but it's very effective.
Yeah, very, very.
Yeah. So, Jordan, you're gonna love the Southern Oregon, Northern California down here. I was telling you online the other day, it's, in March, it's about 50-50. We're either going to have a day in the 70s, bright sunshine and only a few chemtrails in the sky, or we're going to have a kind of a 42 degrees and rain. It's going to be one or the other.
Well, either way, I will be melting faces in Siskiyou County.
Right on.
Yeah. So it's, you know.
Well, you know, maybe we could get somebody to do the right kind of chemtrailing so that we could have a nice sunny day. You know, we'll have to put out a request there.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Just spray a little more over the Pacific so we don't get the water vapor, then we'll have a nice, clear, sunny day. And that's probably what's going to happen. We haven't been getting very much rain lately. We got some today, but we are experiencing a drought over here. One thing I wanted to point out to people is that Jordan is really a one-man band. It's amazing watching some of the videos, especially his cover of A Brick in the Wall, the old Floyd song. You would think that there were 3 or 4 other people playing along with him.
I get a lot of sound out of an acoustic guitar, don't I?
Yeah, you sure do. Especially plugged in. But, so do you have some kind of a setup where it looks like you, I don't want to give away any of your trade secrets, but it looks like you've got some kind of device that lets you record a loop No,
it's all me, man.
He's just got really fast hands.
It's really cool.
You know, it's funny. Years ago when I first started doing the loop, the technology, I was playing at a bar, and the loop allows me to stop playing, but the loop continues. And there were some people sitting in front of me and there was a man and a woman, and the woman looked at me, and like the sound was continuing, but I wasn't touching the guitar.
Like
and she looked at her husband and said, "Man, he's good."
It's like Milli Vanilli.
No, because Milli Vanilli didn't actually sing the song. So everything I'm playing is being made live in front of you. I'm like the hibachi chef.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm making it all right in front of you. I'm building the onion volcano right in front of you.
But
know?
it's really cool because I mean, it's similar to, if you were, laying down tracks in the studio. So you're doing it right there. You're doing it live. And so you're throwing down your rhythm track and then you're playing your lead and then you throw in a little percussion on the acoustic there, which is really cool. And it's quite amazing, I think. It makes for some great music, but just an awesome presentation as well.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I've been doing it for since probably 2006 or 7. And, when I tour without the band, it really makes the performance a lot more interesting than just me sitting up there strumming 6 strings and that's it. If I know all the parts of the song, I'd rather the audience hear it. So, especially with some of the songs that have like just killer solos in them, I want to be able to play those things, and this, the loop stuff really, makes that possible. So it literally is a one-man band because I can do the percussion, I can make, percussive loops, I can make rhythmic loops, and then play leads while I sing. So you get, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers sometimes. It's pretty cool.
But also just with how you can play the acoustic guitar, you get a bit of that with the rhythm and lead as well. Just by being an excellent musician. So it's really an extraordinarily great performance. And I'm somebody who loves music, and I've seen a lot of bands, and I've spent my time, in studios with bands, with great musicians. And so it's going to be a real treat to see you live.
Well, I'm looking forward to it too, brother.
Yeah. When you were on the show last time, I made the comment kind of offhand saying that you're a pretty good guitar player as well as a great singer-songwriter. And when I saw you live, I realized that was quite an understatement. He's a really, really, really good guitar player.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It was Henry. Do you guys know who Henry Rollins is?
Yeah, I've seen Henry live doing spoken word recently, and then I caught him back in 1986 when he was the front man for Black Flag, and they played here in Medford, actually. So I'm very familiar with his work.
Well, Henry Rollins, I saw him talking about musicians these days in the 21st century, and how the world doesn't need another guitar player. And he said that, if you can't give as much of yourself in a performance as Jimi Hendrix gave at the Isle of Wight festival when he lit his guitar on fire and continued to play the song like Voodoo Child, then just put it down, because the world doesn't need another guitar player who's half-assed. And when I heard that, I realized that I had been half-assing it the entire time. I played for 10 years and I was just half-assing it. This is back in like 2001 or 2. And, he really shamed me and inspired me at the same time to really perfect my craft. I mean, I'm by no means a master of the instrument, but I'm light years beyond where I was. But it all comes from really devoting yourself to what you're doing. And that's true of anything. But, it's something that I loved, but hadn't really committed to. And once I committed to it, my playing completely changed, and I really got to grow a second voice, basically. I mean, it's, I'm not just a singer and a lyricist. I'm also a guitar player. I don't just strum, G, C, and D and sing songs, It's a language. It can be a very spiritual experience. I would consider, the active live performance is is a kind of communion with a group of people. You know, it's an exchange of energy, and I've had some moments on stage where I'm, you know, playing some leads and just, you know, getting energy from the crowd, and they're getting energy from me, and something amazing happens.
Well, I could, even when you were in Vancouver, it was a relatively small crowd. I could see you pull in some energy. I was thoroughly entranced the whole time. It's like it was the fastest couple hours of my life, I think. It was amazing. I can't wait to see you again.
Me too, buddy. I'm looking forward to it too.
So Gary, you got to make sure that we've got the right insurance for this event, because it sounds like Jordan Page might set his guitar on fire.
Well, you know what? Yeah, we do have insurance.
Okay, folks, you gotta catch the show. You gotta catch the show, because it sounds like there might be something exciting going on here. You know, we might see Jordan Page set his guitar on fire, and Gary's going to jump it with a motorcycle.
Yeah, well, you know what? So basically, what you're saying is so Jordan, I guess we can't use hay bales for your set. Is that what this is all about?
Oh, that ruins the whole act, guys.
Got to take it out of the barn, huh? And move it into the arena, I guess.
Right.
Huh?
I'm gonna have to bring a stunt guitar for that for the finale.
Yeah, I'll bring a stunt Gary too.
Well, you also recently you got to have dinner with Ron Paul, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Ron invited me and my wife down to Texas back in June. It's been almost about 3/4 of a year now. He does like a barbecue at his house every year. But this was like a thank you event for his staff and his big donors, and you know, all the folks that really helped him through the years. I mean, Judge Napolitano and Lou Rockwell and Kane the wrestler, Glenn Jacobs, Vince Vaughn. There were quite a few, Charles Goya. There were quite a few big names at this event, and I came down. I played a couple songs, and you know, just helped with the event, and spent time with Ron and Carol, and Mary, my wife Mary, got to spend some time with them. We had dinner with them at their house, at their son's house, at Ronnie's house. And, I've spent time with them over the years at different events that we've done, but this was the first time, I've gotten to, spend, several hours just, hanging out with him, talking to him. And, he's a great one. It was a lot of fun. I got Ron Paul on my left, and I got Lou Rockwell right across from me. And, and we're just talking politics and economics and having a great time.
Yeah, right on.
That'd be amazing.
Wow. Envy isn't really the right word. I'm just kind of like, I'm hoping someday I can have a comparable experience like that, but you deserve it. They probably were as honored to have you there as you were honored to be there, I imagine.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm one of, 100,000 people who have, supported them all through the years. And I mean, I was, there were a couple of moments that really stand out to me, besides that. And one of those moments was at the Iowa Straw Poll back in 2011, in Ames. Ron asked me to be the musician at his tent. I mean, every candidate had a tent and, made presentations throughout the day. And I was there I did 2 or 3 sets and spread the message of liberty. And then, I got to, open for him yet again. And I was up on stage and I sang Light a Revolution, and I sang a song with his grandkids, and they introduced him, and he brought his whole family up on stage, all the kids, all the grandkids, all the great grandkids. And, he asked me to stay on stage with them. And, because I was heading for the stairs to come down, and, he told me to stay on stage and stand with the family. So that was, and then he thanked me for the song, and just, you know, he just gave me a lot of love and a lot of praise, and he's just a really generous person. You know, he's the real deal. He's a very, very, very generous. I mean, there have been many kindnesses that he's shown me that he didn't have to. So I've always really appreciated that about him, and I mean, even if he hadn't, I would still, you know, be just as big of a supporter, but, just having that personal connection, has been really, really special for me. It made it that much easier to stand with him. But, you know, really what made me know I was back in the right horse was May of 2011 at the first debate, Cinco de Mayo, actually. I was down in South Carolina for that debate. I was doing a rally, in support of him there, and he came to the after party. That's the first time I played Light a Revolution for him, and he loved it. But during that debate, he quoted Jesus and quoted the Golden Rule and said that that's how we should have our foreign policy, should follow the Golden Rule, and he got booed, for quoting the words of Christ. And I just, you know, I stood there in horror, but also with lots and lots of pride, because I knew at that moment, you know, I mean, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I was back in the right horse, and I was never more proud to be a supporter.
I remember that moment too. I couldn't believe it. I don't remember. I was somewhere online at the time, and I said, I don't believe it. People just booed the Golden Rule. And now it seems like it's really funny, but then at that time I was just almost going crazy. I said, what has happened to my country? I think that debate was infiltrated with a lot of people who were just planted there to boo anything that was against more war. So that if you didn't say more war, they were going to boo it. They were trying to just make him look bad. But this support of Ron Paul, it's kind of led you to there's a cost that you've paid a little bit. It's been harder for you to get some of your music played because of this. I understand now. I'm not going to name any names, but if you're willing to tell a story about the radio station in Boston, we won't tell what the call letters were unless you want to.
Oh yeah, no problem. You know, it's funny because the Liberty themed songs, the political songs, are the reason that my career evolved past playing in bars and just touring regionally and not nationally. Now, it wasn't until I started writing songs that were about more than just what was going on in my personal life. That's when things changed, you know, and I was led down this path by God, undoubtedly. You know, the song Pendulum was the catalyst for that whole transition, and you know, it came to me in the middle of the night and sent me down a whole other path. So you know, along the way, I'm gonna answer your question in a second. Along the way, I've encountered adversity and I've encountered, you know, people who didn't want to help me, basically. I've been through a couple different managers who believed in what I was doing but knew how difficult it was going to be to sell. You know, my music's been in front of most of the major record labels, and they all loved me but didn't want to deal with what I was talking about. And so they, you know, I was universally loved and universally rejected. And, so I got used to that, and I came to the conclusion that this was not going to happen the traditional way, getting the record deal. That wasn't going to happen. So I had to do it myself. So I started my own label, Revolution Records, and I spell it REVELSHUN because I spell it phonetically because some people need their revolution spelled out for them. And, you know, I started doing it myself, and I had a manager from Los Angeles a couple years ago who sent my album Liberty to like a radio, I guess, gatekeeper up in the Northeast, up in Boston, and the guy listened to it and called my manager and said, "This is awesome. I love this record. I'm going to play." He's like, "There's 5 or 6 songs that belong on radio, and we're gonna play this everywhere." This guy's going to be famous, in 6 months. And he called him back 2 days later and said, I'm never playing this record. This is never going to get any radio play from me. And my manager asked him why, and he said, because this guy supports Ron Paul. And so what's interesting to me about that as a case study, speaking as an anthropologist, is that, this guy listened to my record and loved it, and the music got in, but then once he realized I was a Ron Paul supporter, he went back and really listened to what I was saying, and that's when he had an adverse reaction to it. So it just proves to me that the music can get inside of a person without them knowing it, and it'll either take root or it'll be rejected, but at least it got in. And I take the good with the bad, and I don't have any like illusions or grandiose idealistic notions anymore. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm touring. I've got a fan base all over the country. It's growing all the time. I'm on the side of right. I'm just spreading a message. I'm staying consistent with what I believe, and I'm standing up for the things that I think, and just trying to get other people to do the same, but just living through example and just spreading the message in a non-threatening way, but in a way that touches the heart and the soul.
I couldn't agree more. That's and that it's kind of a summation of the struggle we all have as being liberty advocates, is that there's such a it's like a normalcy bias that people have in the status quo, that no matter how bad it is, they're just going to continue with it. Jeff Berwick was on our show last summer, and he quoted this quote from Harriet Tubman, and I'll probably get it a little bit wrong, but she was the conductor on the Underground Railway. She said, I freed 1,000 slaves, and I could have freed 1,000 more, but they didn't know they were slaves. And that just got inside me, and I couldn't stop thinking about that quote for months. And
I'm going to post that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And awesome. That's what you're going through right here. You're freeing a lot of people, but there's a lot of people out there that just aren't ready to hear the message yet. So we got to keep trying, because there's a lot of people that still need this message. And, it probably hit you like it hit me. It's like a punch in the stomach, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's that's badass. I'm posting that right now on Facebook right now.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of how I see your presence out there, is that, it's just some people aren't going to get it. So, but we got to free the ones we can.
That's okay. Even Jesus said there were too many people. He couldn't help them all. You do what you can do. You're planting seeds all day long, indiscriminately planting seeds, talking about what's going on, speaking the truth. And some people will get it and some people won't. It's not up for us to determine who gets it and who doesn't. I can talk till I'm blue in the face, doesn't mean anybody's going to listen, but I talk in the hopes that some people will listen. I can already die feeling accomplished, because I had a soldier come up to me at a show a year and a half ago in Nashville, who was fully dressed in his army fatigues. And he comes up to me and he says, I came a long way to see you. I'm here because I was stationed in Afghanistan. We were out in the desert for weeks. We had limited satellite internet, but one day we had it for a few hours, and I was surfing YouTube and I found your Liberty music video. I listened to the song 8 or 9 times in a row. And that's when that's when I realized that what I was doing, and I've taken the steps now to get out of the military, because of your song. So, just that in itself changes the world. So I'm whatever happens from here is all just, profit to me, in terms of impact. That win right there, made my life have meaning. It made my music have meaning. So everything that I do, is just gravy on top of that.
That's awesome that you got that kind of feedback, so, kind of early in your life, so it's like you've already won most of the game you set out to win, so now you can just enjoy it more. And I believe that he's just like one out of thousands that have been touched the same way. And I know that, and I don't know how many more ways to say this. And Gary said the same thing. It's just the words that are in your music, they just change the way you think. And for me, this was early on in the Ron Paul movement. I heard the song that you wrote for him, The Light of Liberty, and the bonds of slavery are forged with paper chains. And wow, that made a lot of sense to me. It just made it made a couple more dominoes fall inside my head. And I've brought that up 3 or 4 times now in this show, and I'll be listening to it later. I'll go, could you think of something else to talk about besides the bonds of slavery? But I was listening to that song the other day, and I still like to hear it.
So, Jordan, Drew Lamb here. Didn't you get to go down to Galt's Gulch to check out Berwick's project in Chile?
Briefly, yes.
What'd you think of it? Are you considering bailing out, or are you going to dig in and stay here and fight the good fight?
Well, I think that I don't know, man. That's a complicated question. I'm in it to win it. We're probably just going to stay here and fight it out. I've got small children that I have to think of, and if when the stuff hits the fan, we're going to do what we have to do to survive. But we've got places we can go, and making a move, making an international move in this, in the situation I'm in right now isn't really a possibility. So I'm just it's for other people, but not for me, not right now.
Yeah, I was looking at Uruguay, and before we met Jeff, I was looking at Chile. I was even, I got a passport, and I was very, very close to bugging out down there. But then I decided to go down with the ship. And what Jeff Berwick said was that we're making our own Galt's Gulch here, here in Jefferson. And so it's just a matter of reaching out to other like-minded people and going, well, hey, come over here. There's a lot of people who want to live in the same way, and you don't have to head down to South America. I think it would be kind of risky, especially where the entire globe is very unstable, and so there really are no guarantees. And and even recently, the people of Chile elected a socialist president, so things can change very swiftly. Did you get to see the project itself?
I did. It's very beautiful land. They've got something like I think maybe 100 acres of lemon trees, lime trees, avocado trees, and you guys know who Luke Radowski is from We Are Change?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Luke's a good friend of mine, and we were riding horses through the lemon orchard, and which is kind of tucked in this valley between way up in the mountains where Galt's Gulch is. And I saw this I love lemons, and I saw this fat lemon on the tree, and I pulled it off the tree, bit the top off, and just ate it. And I looked at Luke and I said, buddy, we're riding horses through a lemon orchard in the mountains of Chile. I said, this moment does not suck. It was pretty awesome.
Awesome.
They're still figuring out what they're doing down there, and I think it's all very new. I'd rather not give an opinion. But it's a very beautiful place. And we were taken care of down there. We had some fun.
Very good. Well, maybe you'll consider coming over to Jefferson after you spend a little bit of time over here.
Okay, we'll see.
Great place to raise a family.
Well, it's going to be even better after the June election.
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, no joke. I have a whole new republic.
Well, once this ball gets rolling, it's I think it's going to do nothing. It's like starting a rock downhill. It's going to gather momentum, and it's going to start. It's like it's a magnetic rock. It's picking up other magnetic rocks on the way down, so it's gathering mass and form, and as people start to understand what is possible to have a free republic and the economic prosperity that's available for everybody who lives there, if they have the right economic systems in place, I think it's going to be one of the best places on earth to live, and they're going to have to build fences to keep people out.
Hey, it's really exciting. If you really think about it, the founding fathers wrote provisions into their literature, the documents, for this very moment. And to be a part of that history is sometimes it's weird for me because I don't have time to think about it. But if you look at it, we're part of a very historical moment, just a slice in history that is so profound with regards to what the founding fathers envisioned. And they saw a time like this coming. And I don't think that anybody ever wanted to see any kind of violence or with regards to, quality of life and liberty and freedom. And, this is this incredible non-violent opportunity to, regain some of our, rights and liberties. And, but it's kind of weird to be sitting here talking to these, as you say, yeah, this thing's going to get some momentum. And, it's really weird to be on such a ground level. And Jordan coming, of all people, who do we get to kick it off? Jordan Page. And then we've got Drew and Chuck that have had visions before I even had my eyes open. And, pretty exciting time. I'm listening to you guys talk about it. And it's just a really kind of an eye-opening moment for me right now. So this is pretty cool.
Well, all I've ever wanted was something like this to happen. And I thought that we'd have to push, for another 10 years or so before we even got to this point that we're at right now. And at first I was really excited about the State of Jefferson movement starting to pick up some steam, but I had a lot of reservations, because it just, it wasn't getting rid of the big problem. And that's the federal government. And it was still, there, and none of that was really going to change. And, and there were a lot of things that were troubling me with that movement, because it just wasn't really, dealing with the elephant in the room. And it was just changing it up a little bit. It's like, well, we're under the State of Jefferson banner now, but not the State of California, but we're still under this illegitimate USA corporation, that Anthony Antiso talks about in his presentation about the Jefferson Republic Initiative. And so Anthony's plan just deals with all the problems that I had with the State of Jefferson. So for all of you guys out there listening that have supported the State of Jefferson or still are pushing that movement, please take a close look at the Jefferson Republic Initiative and take a look at that, because everything that you want, that you really, really, truly want, is there. You're going to have that without having to make any kind of compromises. It's all right there. Everything that you wanted, everything that you were hoping for in supporting the State of Jefferson, which you're not going to get all of that. You could get it with the Jefferson Republic.
Drew, if you don't mind, a lot of the confusion out there is it's like you got to be one or the other, and I don't think anybody within the Jefferson Republic, especially the Jefferson Action Committee, feels that way. I think that no matter what, this is an asset to whatever the people want. And let's just say, for sake of conversation, the State of Jefferson movement, let's say, it does keep plugging forward and stuff. There's 75 years of trying that, and that's pretty darn commendable. And but you just all the obstacles and all the compromises that go hand in hand, and then, in my opinion, this is my opinion, the creation of a water state that is still directly bound to the same exact people that have Siskiyou County in this socioeconomic quagmire. But for the confusion, I think, is that I don't think there's much of a division as people would think. Real quickly, if you don't mind, I'll just go over the real brief history of the Jefferson Republic because it started out with Anthony and Tiso about 8 years ago, the Greenhorn Grange, and they were really alarmed about the direction of the state of California and where, things with the federal government were headed. And so the liberty losses and so forth. And then in 2006, the Grange, put together, a committee called the Jefferson Action Committee. And it was formed, there was probably about 30 people on it, I believe. And it was the Siskiyou County Pomona Grange, which is a group of 8 Granges. They adopted this process. And then they got to looking at all the past attempts, and then they started focusing on the 695 pages of documents, which were very relevant to past attempts and State of Jefferson movement. About 2007, they made the recommendation, hey, let's do this. Let's go gung-ho, State of Jefferson, and the movement, carried forward. So I think it was in 2007 or 2008, they drafted a mission statement and had their Declaration of Independence and so forth. They had a secession petition, and then it was circulated around the county, and everybody loved it. It was a gung-ho, go forward. In 2010, they contracted with a painting outfit here to repaint the State of Jefferson sign on I-5. I think everybody sees that when they're going north. It's a big, State of Jefferson sign there on I-5 on the right-hand side. 2007, they were still doing a lot of legal research, and then they started looking at the aspects of the legal consequences in with regards to going this way or that way and so forth. And they found out that the congressional and state records proved that statehood would preclude gaining back liberties, So then in 2012, they thought, okay, now we've got this great movement. How do we keep moving it forward? And this is the beautiful part of the State of Jefferson movement and the spirit of the people and the momentum is, they realized, Anthony and Tiso and the Jefferson Action Committee realized that the State of Jefferson would have to be dropped. And so they really started identifying how to move forward, and the Republic was the only answer. So it was adopted unanimously. And then, in 2012, they had a legal and lawful process, which is, the initiative that you guys have spoke about. And, the petition was sent out to the people, circulated around, and there was enough, voters that signed it, put it on the ballot, based on constitutional law. And, I think it was now forgive me because I'm a total newbie when it comes to this stuff, but I think it was like Amendment 9 federal constitution. And then I should be looking at notes here. Hang on. Articles 1 and 2, and then 11 of the California Constitution were used. And now I'm reading Tony's notes. Sorry. So then I think it was 2013, they started the petition, and it was approved by Siskiyou County. County clerk signed off on it, blah, blah, blah. Then the second group, which was a group from Scott Valley, that would be the people that, that are still continuing the statehood process. And they continue to do that, and they've been, running around the country and gaining a lot of excitement and so forth. So they're doing their thing. So, basically that's kind of how things went. The State of Jefferson movement was all one. And then a group said, okay, this is why it just can't work. It can't satisfy the genuine needs of the people. And whether, I think that it's applicable, that ideal is applicable not just in Jefferson Republic or Siskiyou County as it is right now, but throughout the United States. There's all these different movements and stuff going on. So, right now where it stands is we're, on the ballot. It's the real deal. And, hopefully other counties will watch a successful in Denver, and I forgot who it was that said this, but in a grand experiment, which is not much of an experiment anymore. It's definitely a movement, and that's kind of where it is. So I think a lot of people from state of Jefferson, if they really look at this, they're just actually, it's just like having a football jersey, it's like, it's the same team, but, you got different numbers. Your favorite player is a different number now, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but there's apples and oranges, statehood versus republic. That's, the main difference. So you have to choose, how free you want to really be.
Well, I think that's a pretty good description of it. It's, and to me, becoming a 51st state would be a positive move. It just isn't going to be as good of a thing as being an independent republic would be. There's as we say, there's still that, and I'm going to say giant elephant and giant donkey still in the room, and no one's paying any attention to it. And they kind of invade our life, and they're involved in all sorts of personal things. They're spying on us with communications, and they're cracking down and turning us into a police state, and our tax rates are going way up. They're mandating us into things like Obamacare. There's just so much going on that is coming from Washington, D.C. that's really affecting our lives in a negative manner. I don't think any of these things are positive at all. We've been in this recession, quote, depression, since 2007, and it's going on 7 years now, and it doesn't even close to hitting bottom yet because of all the policies they have in here that are prolonging things and making it worse. And by the way, for all you out there that are not history buffs, the Great Depression did last 17 years. It went from 1929 to 1946. And there's no reason to believe that we learned anything from that, because they're repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. They haven't learned a thing. And I hope we don't have to go through some kind of world war to somehow get to a reset point a year or two after it's over, because I think the next world war we're going to fight is going to be fought in seconds, and it'll be over. And then the fourth world war will be fought with sticks and stones. There won't be much left. So let's just hope that we can kind of restore some sanity and let people be free and stop trying to make profits off of war. I think things would be a lot better. If not, it'd be nice to have a free republic to bug out to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, Jordan, you've been all around the United States. You haven't been to this part of the United States yet, but among the other places you've been, what are your favorite spots?
Oh man. Yeah, there's a few places where, my fan bases are concentrated, and that would definitely be, like northern Florida, Texas, all of New England, Arizona, like all over Arizona. There's a lot of places that I go that I just get, huge turnouts and lots of support. Mid-Atlantic as well, the Maryland, Pennsylvania area, playing New York quite a bit. There's just, what's great is that I'm getting to see in each area who the people are, that are the hardcore Liberty people. I'm doing these house concerts and small clubs, and I'm really getting to know these groups. And they're all like, families anywhere, from 15 to 50 or 60 people. And, they work together, they do activism together, they get arrested together, and these are the people that are always the ones who show up. They're the ones who sacrifice things and who aren't, sunshine patriots, and who are always the ones that are consistently there, and staying on message, and who haven't given up just because there's not a presidential campaign going on. And those groups are definitely in the areas that I mentioned that I've seen. I'm doing a lot of tours now in areas that I haven't been to before, and I'm kind of breaking new ground, and I'm like so blown away by all the groups that I have encountered, especially in the last couple of tours, like in the Northwest, up in Washington and Oregon. That's where I saw Charles recently. I just did 2 Middle America tours, Kentucky, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa. And, I'm just meeting so many people who frankly, I wish I'd known this whole time, cause they're just amazing folks, and all they do is work and strive to restore our republic and free people's minds. So I'm kind of blown away by everywhere that I go for the most part, because of the people that are there, the people that are, they're the ones making a difference. I'm just singing songs about making a difference. They're the ones that are actually doing it.
Yeah. And it was one of those people you described was definitely not a sunshine patriot, who was one of my Facebook friends, and happened to put me in touch with you originally, and started our relationship with Double Cross Radio and Jordan Page. And so I always thank her for all the things that happened related to you. She was awesome. Joan, thank you.
Joan Lewis?
Yes, she's awesome.
Oh yeah, Joan is actually my daughter's godmother.
I know.
And oh yeah, Joan and I have had a very close friendship since, I guess, 2009 is when I met her and her twin sister and their whole family, and we're all very, very close, and they're like family. So yeah.
Yeah, she is very fond of you and your whole family. So, anyway, it's great that you get to go out there and see all these people. You're kind of like some kind of a uniting force, traveling from place to place or region to region, and kind of like the internet, only the old fashioned way, just by, bringing this message of liberty to people and let them know that they're not alone, and there's other people out there that are fighting this fight also. And it's very encouraging and uplifting. I know just driving up to Vancouver to hear you play, I got to go up with Dwayne and Susie, who's also known as Liberty Gal, and we had a great conversation all the way up and all the way back, and we got back and we weren't done talking, so we went in the restaurant and had coffee for an hour and a half and talked some more, because it was just an awesome conversation, and it wouldn't have happened without your concert. Just stuff like that, you don't get to hear about that, but it was definitely almost as important as getting to hear you sing. It was that powerful.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's powerful for me too. It's very humbling. And, I go to all these places I've never been before, and, anywhere between 30 and 90 people show up and they know the words to the songs. I mean, most of these are folks that I've never met, and that's pretty humbling. And as you said, it's interesting for me to know all these groups all over the country who don't know each other. Because one of the things that I love to do is bring people together, and I hope to be a uniting force in the days ahead. One of my main goals I've always said is, people ask me, what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to mobilize an educated and informed resistance. So when things fall apart, or when the encroachments on our liberties are no longer so stealth and a little more blatant, even more than they are now. I mean, I could make the argument either way, but that I could help facilitate or be a part of the facilitation of that resistance. And that happens through, mobilization and, networks. I mean, that's how the establishment does it. So, we need to beat them at their own game in some arenas.
Yeah. And some people have said, and actually a lot of political campaigns try to simulate grassroots type appearance. They make signs for people, give them shirts and have them show up at some place and they get all their people to assemble these people. But when we're going to a Jordan Page concert, people just show up. We don't know how many people are going to be there. Vancouver, Washington is not the biggest place in the world. We had a pretty good crowd there. And I think you got pretty good donation plate out of that place, I think. Didn't you say it was one of the better stops on that tour?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The money that you raised at that stop, didn't you say that was one of the better, fundraising?
Yeah, that was the best, financially that was the best stop on the whole tour. I mean, I was fighting, snowstorms on that tour, which hurt attendance. I mean, we still had great attendance, but there were a couple of dates that were a little more disappointing because, the roads were bad and there was really inclement weather, which was unfortunate. But the people who were there loved it, and next time it come through, there'll be 2 to 3 times as many people.
Yeah.
And it'll be warmer.
If you come through in the summer, it's definitely warmer. It's, in fact, you may be complaining of the heat if you come through Southern Oregon, Northern California in the summer. It gets hot here, but we love it. If you lived here a long time, it's the best time of year.
So, Jordan,
I lived in Seattle for a year back in 2002. I lived in Seattle, for about, 13 months. So I know the Northwest summers well.
Well, that's the Northwest. We're more like Mediterranean climate down here in Medford.
Yeah, I've lived in Seattle too, and summer in Seattle is very different than summertime down here.
Okay.
It gets darn hot here. It was fairly comfortable in Seattle in the summertime, and I never wanted an air conditioner, but down here you definitely want an air conditioner, or at the very least a swimming pool. I'm fortunate that I have a swimming pool. Jordan, I was going to say, the last time that you were on, you debuted a song on our show, called Sedition. And, could you play another song for us tonight or, play that one again?
Well, guys, honestly, I've got some sick babies who are sleeping right now. And I think if I played a song, it would wake them up.
Yeah. No problem.
So, and that would not be very good.
I hope everybody gets well soon.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Now, your wife is expecting, is that correct? So you're about to enlarge your family by one.
Yep. Number 5 on the way. We're trying to outbreed the statists.
Well, I think that you have wonderful parents like you and your wife. You should have a lot of kids. You should have as many as you can handle, because they're going to grow up well adjusted and freedom loving and probably be homeschooled and know more than everybody else and carry on the traditions.
We're raising them with love and with liberty and to be free thinkers, and they're thriving in the homeschool environment, and the kids are far beyond where the other kids in their class when they were in school are now. And we're just going to keep on going and keep on loving them and teaching them what's what, and we'll see where we end up. It's a lot easier to raise good people than to repair broken people. So
that's the truth.
Yeah, we're giving them all the love we can.
Well, I wish someone had written a song to me, a message of freedom, when I was a kid, or my dad writing a song told me to watch out for all these big government statists out there. I know your kids know the song and they know, but as they get older, they'll appreciate it more and more and more as they mature and become adults. And that'll probably be one of the things that they'll remember the rest of their lives. Such fond memories of sitting around at home singing the song with their dad, and then realizing what it really means as they get a little older. That's a tremendous gift you gave them. I wish someone had done that for me. I had to wake up the hard way. It's not as much fun.
No, me too, man. I had a pretty rude awakening when I discovered that the world was being ransacked by elitist, occultist, satanic conspiracy. It was not a very fun day for me when I realized that. And you know, I'm gonna kind of spoon feed it to my or like the gravity of things to my kids as they get older, and not, you know, douse them in it like I immersed myself, I guess. I want them to be to not be afraid. You know, I want them to feel empowered and strong and not, you know, stifled by the enormity of what we face as a people and as a culture. You know, got to raise strong kids.
Yeah, definitely a fear-based society is an enslaved society.
That's for sure, Gary. That's for sure.
Yep. And, well, see, we still have the subject of intellectual property to come up, because I have a speech to give on Saturday, and it's gotta be, they told me that I have to be short. Like, you know, they're gonna cut me off. They're gonna turn off my microphone after 15 minutes. So I want to make sure I got good information for my 15 minutes of fame there. And I just wanted to get your views on intellectual property. I believe in intellectual property. I just don't believe our current laws are doing what they're intended to do. They're being perverted. Seem to make more money for the publishers of music than the creators of music.
Well, that's, you know, that can be true, but, you know, if you are the publisher of your own music, then that's fine. I mean, you know, giving up the publishing rights to your intellectual property is never a good idea, and it's been pretty much the norm for many, many years until the whole paradigm changed. I mean, like especially in the music industry, the paradigm changed in the 90s when people started being able to burn their own CDs, and then when people started being able to afford, you know, to go to a recording studio and record their own albums and not having to go to, you know, not having to have a record deal in order to do it. I mean, like that, you know, and the record labels just did not keep up with the technology, and they, you know, they, like, a lot of them went out of business because they didn't see it coming. But, you know, intellectual property, I butt heads with a lot of libertarians on this issue, you know, because like, you know, one of the big things that libertarians are all about are property rights. You know, it's not life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of property. And I mean, people ask me all the time, you know, you should give your music away for free. And I tell people, well, you should go to work for free too. You should work your hours for free, in the hopes that will pan out for you in some kind of profitable way. I said, you know, my time is valuable. My artistic craft is worth a dollar amount to me and to other people. So, you know, like, if I choose to do like something promotional and give a song away for free, it's an investment in the hopes that, you know, people will download other songs, and, you know, but this whole idea that music should be free and that, you know, there's no such thing as intellectual property, I think is a crock, because it all comes from, you know, a skill set that requires, you know, a certain length of time. And for me, you know, we're talking over 2 decades of time that I have put into honing my craft and producing works of art that have commercial value to me, because it is the primary way that I make my living. You know, I mean, I support a wife and children and a home, with music. And if I'm giving it away for free, or if people are stealing it, then how does anyone expect me to continue to produce the music. So if anyone claimed to be a supporter or a fan of mine, they would be downloading the music or buying the CDs from me in concerts and supporting me financially, because that is my product.
And that's the only way for them to get more of your product, because if you don't make a living at it, you're not going to keep doing it.
Exactly. But, the music production would stop. I wouldn't stop playing music to soothe my own soul, but I wouldn't be able to continue to perform it or to record it, because my last album was a $20,000 project. Okay, and I have to recoup those expenses and try to make money on top of that. So it's not it's not free to record. I mean, the recording engineer, his time is worth a dollar amount. The musicians that I hire to play on my albums are worth a dollar amount. The art that goes into it's worth money. The manufacturing plant disc makers that prints all my CDs, they charge a fee. I mean, all these things, all these services that are related to the creation of an artistic work cost money, and so which I have to pay. So if I'm doing that to provide entertainment to people, that entertainment has a dollar value depending on who you're talking to. And I'm guilty of downloading songs I haven't paid for. I've done it. I'm not gonna act like I haven't. But I don't really do that anymore, because I really gripped the reality of what that means for the artist. Even if they're not seeing all the royalties from it, if an artist is not, let's say a mainstream artist on a major label is not selling albums because people are pirating them, across the board, they're going to get dropped. They're going to lose their record deal. They're going to lose that opportunity for mainstream success. It's like any service. I mean, nothing is free, but the technology is interesting, because the technology exists to pirate things. Digital technology, no one, or at least, a lot of people in the music industry didn't see it coming. And, there's a counter argument that I would also agree with to my point now, is that, some bands, I'll give you a couple examples, would be like the Arctic Monkeys or Radiohead, have given their music away for free, and they've done very well. Because like the Arctic Monkeys were an unknown British band who gave away, hundreds of thousands of copies of their album for free, and they developed a huge following doing that. And now they're a mainstream, extraordinarily successful, internationally recognized rock band. And that's like from being grassroots, nobodies to being mainstream through that model. But I think they're also an exception. Radiohead's another one, but Radiohead already had mainstream success from a time before downloading music was possible, and the CD was still the main medium that, this is pre-iPod. This is like early 90s. They had mainstream success from then on and had a worldwide established fan base. Then they came out with their album In Rainbows, and they offered it for whatever anybody wanted to pay for it. And they made more money on that album than any of their previous albums. So, there's something to be said for, giving things or just offering things for free and letting the fans kind of, show you how much they care. And I do that with my shows, because on these tours, there's no set ticket price. We're asking people for donations, and I'm actually not every time, but a lot of times I end up with a lot more, money at the end of the night, because I'm not asking for a set number. If I was, asking for $10 at the door, then that's what I would get. But I'm asking people to donate what they, what their heart tells them to donate. And a lot of times it's a lot more than I would charge normally for a ticket. So, in that way, I'm kind of employing that model, but there is a dollar amount associated with putting out intellectual work. And, those expenses cannot necessarily be recouped if you're giving all your product away for free. It's like, writing a book and, incurring a cost to have it printed and then just giving those books out when you rely on those books to pay your mortgage and to pay for the very gas that got you to an event where you're selling them. So, it's, I agree with you that the laws that exist don't necessarily, reflect a fair and just system in that regard. But intellectual property as a concept, I totally support. It's like anything else.
Well, I also support that. Now we've had shows where one of them was called, we had, Stephan Kinsella on, who wrote a book against intellectual property, and he made it clear he still believes in intellectual property. He just doesn't think the laws, the way they're written, are protecting individuals. They tend to protect corporate interests, and they're hard to enforce unless you have a big legal staff and people who go out and find the people who are pirating your music or doing illegal downloads of your books or whatever. But I want everybody to know that despite all those things that I said on those shows, because I really think these laws need to be reformed, we actually made an agreement with Jordan Page to play his theme song on the show, and we paid for it because we want to support Jordan and we love his theme song. And it's the only song we've ever heard that exactly fit what we wanted to say. And so he's not only the perfect representative for the state of Jefferson, or the Republic of Jefferson, Jefferson Republic. I got it right third time. He's also, his song Listen is the perfect song for our show. That's exactly what we wanted to be about.
Chuck,
don't be caught unaware when the heads start rolling.
Chuck, just don't call it a territory, okay? Don't slip up there. No.
You can call it Jefferson. You can call it the state of Jefferson. You can call it Jefferson Republic. Just don't call it a territory.
You know what's funny? In the end, who knows what it's going to be called? The people will decide,
It
could be Camelot.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to point out is that we talk about intellectual property on almost every single episode, and Chuck and I have been wrestling and arguing and debating and whatnot about, do we support it? Don't we support it? Do we support it a little bit? And this is a very important debate, especially for people that are working on creating a new government framework like we're working on, because we have to decide, and the people have to decide how they're going to deal with one another. Like people think that anarchists are for chaos and violence and Molotov cocktails, and what we're really
not even close.
Yeah, what we're really all about is rules without rulers. And so, you still have contracts, you still have agreements that, and laws are the things that determine how people deal with one another. You've got, right now we have all this legislature, but then there's how we really deal with one another. That's what law truly is. And so when we start talking about something like intellectual property and we're wrestling around with this, is because, what is considered a product has changed in this age. There's a lot of things now, a lot of information that's shared, a lot of things are digital now. And there's still a lot of innovation going on as well. But as we start forming new republics, we have to start talking about what rules we want to abide by, especially if we're going to engage in trade with people in other areas. What are the terms? Do we support somebody's intellectual property or not? Maybe people in another area might have a different point of view, and if they don't like the way that we do business, then they won't do business with us. And ultimately, I'd like to see the creators of intellectual property to just have a choice. I'd like to see government completely removed from that option, because that's just being exploited by big corporations, and ultimately it just stifles innovation and completely punishes the little guy. I'd like to see something that's more fair emerge, but I do believe that people that just throw their work out there, and say, here it is, do what you want. You know, it's out there in the Creative Commons. You know, they do stand to have their work, you know, copied or used in ways that they don't like. But at the same time, they can position themselves as an expert in a certain area and get some business from that. If you look at the open source software movement, you know, or the guy that developed the Linux operating system, for example, there's been lots of opportunities there for people that have specialized in Linux and especially for that guy. You know, I'm involved in, aquaponics and, black soldier fly farming. And there's ideas and things that I've learned that I throw out there into the wild, and it comes back to me. I get people contacting me, you know, wanting consultation or interest in buying something from me just because I just openly shared an innovation with them. So, but I think that
but that was a voluntary act.
Yes. So this
it wasn't stolen from you.
Right. Exactly. And so ultimately the market dictates what's the best way. And it's up to the creator of the intellectual property, and the market will, reward that person if it values what they're throwing out there, either, with a license or without, one or the other. So however that works out, the market will decide, and then the creators of intellectual property will go, well, you know, I'm going to go with the way that nets me the greatest value, you know. And so, you know, if that's Creative Commons, okay. You know, maybe somebody goes, well, you know, I'm not in it for that. You know, I want some kind of registration process, and I'm not throwing it out in the wild unless somebody gives me some money. But it should be up to the creator of the material. But we have to have, some sort of different process to protect people who want that kind of, patent, copyright, trademark protection that's outside of the federal government system, you know, and is done in such a matter. I don't have the right answers at this point that it can't be, you know, manipulated by big corporations with lots of money.
Mm. I will say this, in doing the research for this speech, I found that, New Zealand, Australia, and Chile all have very up-to-date intellectual property laws, which, they've actually come into the 21st century, and they understand what the technologies are and what the problems are, and they've made real reasonable laws that are, the ones that are enforceable, they enforce, and the ones that they really, you know, are harder to enforce, they just maybe will give warnings, but they're real reasonable, and they're actually a lot of the people in the people that have seen them think they're awesome and think that's a step forward and a good reform the United States should maybe consider. But instead, we're kind of going the opposite direction and making things so they're gonna use your computers to spy on you. And if you print out something off the internet, it's gonna violate. They call it a temporary copyright, and you can be fined for printing something out off of someone's blog or something to read at lunch, and then you're just going to throw it away. You violated their temporary copyright. And if your computer caches things in there, you put things in files so you can read them later. That could be the same thing. If this thing goes through, it could be the end of Facebook. It could be the end of a lot of stuff on the web. It could be the end of things like the Drudge Report. You won't be able to actually, you know, linking to other sites might be a bad thing. Certainly the people that have those kind of sites don't want that. That's their lifeblood. But, these are some real stuff that's coming down the pipe.
That's fine.
The cover of intellectual property to kind of push them on people.
Yeah, but see, there's an opportunity there. You could have an Agora internet for people that want to play by a different set of rules. And so, you know, if you're an anarcho-capitalist, you're going to subscribe to the Agora internet that was put together by Kim.com or somebody like that. And their intellectual property would be handled in a different way that was agreed upon by the users of the Agora internet. And so, you know, the TPP, what really troubles me I know we've got this, demonstration coming up against it on Saturday. in Medford. But, you know, what troubles me with people about some of the people that are, protesting this is that they're saying, you know, appeal to the FCC and get them to stop this. Well, no, you don't want to do that. Don't look to the government to solve this problem, to deal with this or to stop it. You could do it yourself by not using those systems, by not dealing with the corporations. Just deal them out, you know. Go to the Agora internet, you know. There's a dark net set up through Tor, and there's websites established on there, and you could, you know, people could move into that internet realm and deal with each other accordingly. So it's just, you know, I think these corporations, they could do all the junk that they want and make up all their silly rules and stuff, and they're not welcome in the Agora if those are the rules that they want to play by, and ultimately they'll become irrelevant. And so it's just, don't give them your money. Don't deal with them. Don't buy their stuff. Don't use their stuff. Innovate better stuff. You know, innovate, come up with terms that work out better for everybody involved.
I think just about everybody that's listening to our program, and almost everybody that I've ever known, has an internet provider. It's going to have a chilling effect on those people too, because they're going to be forced to give over information about their customers or lose their ability to, you know, have a business. And basically they're going to report on all the misdeeds you do. So I see there's some real
fine. I'd tell everybody, you know, unplug.
I think they will unplug. I don't think they have to be told.
I mean, I unplugged my cable. I'll unplug my internet, you know, and I'll plug into a different internet. Something else is going to emerge that these corporations and governments they're not going to have control over it. Something's going to emerge that they can't control. And
there's a proven demand out there, and then people will see that there's a place for them to make a profit. They're going to attempt to do it, but it could be a while before people can do this. I mean, you have to have access to satellites, and I don't know what else. It's there's a lot of infrastructure that's been built up over the last 20 years. I don't know if you can just replace that with other stuff that easily, but maybe something better and easier to manage will come along too. I don't want to be, you know, that's kind of the history of things.
Well, you know, you could set up ham radio networks easily, that you could plug an FM transceiver into a laptop and share digital files and basically create an exonet, and you could pass packets around the whole world, you know, with the repeaters. And you know, something along that kind of technology is completely feasible. I'm sure it can be improved upon, but the necessity would cause that to be better. You know, maybe somebody would develop a different system along those lines, but it's entirely feasible. But what happens is these companies do this kind of stuff, is they roll out the TPP and create terms that violate the privacy of their users and so on. They're just going to hurt themselves if people really don't want to put up with it.
I don't think it's internet providers that are rolling this out. I think it's people above them. But
I mean, I don't care. I'll unplug. I'd love to not ever see Facebook again. I'd love it. It'd be awesome. I wouldn't miss it. It's a burden.
I think my wife would like it if I wasn't so distracted by that too.
I remember life before Facebook, and I remember life before the computers, and it wasn't that bad. It was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
So,
the worst part that I found out so far for this Trans-Pacific Partnership is that it's going to Americans and citizens in every country where this is going to sign onto this agreement will lose their sovereignty with regards to intellectual property laws, some trade things, but there's only about 4 chapters of 20 chapters that are about trade. There's one about intellectual property, and most of the rest of them are kind of secrets. No one knows exactly what they're about. But I have a feeling they're about authoritarian controls and fascist police states and things like that, because that's what these people are getting together to do, is to impose
You have a feeling, huh, Chuck?
I just have this feeling in my bones. It's how they operate. And the fact that they're not telling anybody what it's about makes me feel it's got to be pretty bad, or they'd be sharing the information. If it was a good thing, they'd be talking about it.
Just pass it to see what's in it.
Yeah.
No, that's been their approach for a long time. I mean, this attack on the internet is about attacking the ability of the people it's another attack on the ability of the people to peacefully assemble. You know, it's like the internet is what makes the First Amendment have real meaning in today's society, you know, and they want to stifle it. They want to control every aspect of it. They don't want an educated society. They want a dumb society, and the internet is the truth button. So anything they can do, I mean, it's not about intellectual property for them. It's about control. That's all it's about. It's all it's ever going to be about. We're talking about government. You know, it is a business when it that's the last thing it ever should have been. And any time I see like the language that we're talking about, Trans-Pacific partner, like anytime you see the word partnership, you know something's amiss. So, you know,
stakeholders and partnerships.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Jordan. I love you all. I got to get off here, but I had a great time being on the show tonight.
Oh, it was awesome having you here again. And we look forward to having you on again sometime in the future.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you soon.
Hey, before I go, could I just let you guys know, you know, I got a lot of amazing shows coming up, and I wanted to let people know about just a couple that are coming up in March. March the 1st, I'm going to be doing this just kick-ass show with Tatiana Moroz and Michael Bolden from the 10th Amendment Center. He's a keynote speaker at this event in Grand Rapids, South Dakota. Or is it, what is it? What is the name of that town? Grand Rapids? Cedar Rapids? Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids, I believe.
Rapid City.
Rapid
City.
Yeah, Rapid something.
Yeah, the Constitution Party is putting on this rally. If you go to constitutionpartysd.org, excuse me, you can see the event. It's March the 1st, and we're trying to get the word out, because you know how libertarians are. They wait till the last minute to buy their tickets. So, we got a great show planned there. I'm going to be part of the world's first all Bitcoin, concert as part of, in Austin, Texas, as part of the, Austin Bitcoin Conference on March the 6th. That's going to be pretty awesome. You can find that on my website, jordanpagemusic.com, and on Facebook and online. And as well, I'm going to be doing the show, as we mentioned earlier, for those who might just be tuning in. I'm doing the show for the Jefferson Republic, I guess, launch party.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, we're doing a concert to support the initiative on the ballot to make Siskiyou County its own sovereign republic, and we'd love to see everybody come out. It's going to be at the fairgrounds, right, Gary?
Yes, Siskiyou County Fairgrounds.
Siskiyou County Fairgrounds. We'd love to have as much support as we can possibly get for this. This is a major step forward, and we need everyone's support for that. So, and I'm also going to be headlining at the Liberty Love Fest in Providence, Rhode Island on April the 5th. There's more dates coming. They're all going to be listed on my website soon. So jordanpagemusic.com. I'm on Facebook, and just everybody really appreciate your support, and thank you guys so much for having me on tonight.
Always
Thanks,
a pleasure, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you guys. Have a good night. See ya.
Good night.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left. Gary, anything you want to add that we have left out today? By the way, this event, when it's going on March 22nd, it's going to start in the morning and go all day, or it's going to start in the afternoon?
No, we're in the process of putting that. It'll be posted on our websites pretty soon. But we're looking at we're going to use up the day to the best of our ability. But for the concert for Jordan Page, we're going to basically probably 6 to 9-ish for Jordan, with a break in between to talk to the people a little bit about our ballot or the Republic, and then but before that, we're going to try to get some, good speakers up. We're in the process of taking care of that. So it could be like a 4:00, up to the concert, and then it just kind of depends. We're pretty laid back as far as the schedule right now. However, we've got some great speakers that want to speak. And I think that as we get closer to the date, we'll probably have more speakers than we have time of just, so up in the air now. Sorry, I can't give you a definitive answer to that, but,
okay. I just got one suggestion, and maybe you've already talked to him and he declined, so you don't have to say anything, but, if the sheriff's going to speak, you definitely have to have a time limit on him.
John Lope, I love listening to him talk. There are no discussions. John, I've known John for 13 years, and, it's a small community. I think that if he decides to speak, I don't know. I couldn't even say, having even talked to, I shouldn't be saying John, Sheriff Lope, or better yet, Colonel Lope.
Just keep it to like 10 minutes and then he'll be okay.
Yeah, okay.
At the time I heard him speak, I thought it was going to be 10 minutes, and about an hour later he was done. I go, whoa, I sat through the whole thing.
Well, he's definitely got a lot to say. The guy's a very informative person. But thank you for the input.
Okay. Well, that way you could just narrow down to the main things that are really important. He was, and not being from Siskiyou County, maybe the stuff he was saying was a lot more important to the other people in the audience than it was to me. But it just seemed like the other speakers over there were a lot more interesting because they kept it short and brief and focused on a few items.
I'll tell you, Chuck, I throw a pretty darn good party, man. That's one thing I'm known for, is when I throw a party, it's pretty good and people are pretty excited throughout it. So, okay. I don't worry about that. Nobody will be falling asleep at this party.
Okay. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this. My wife's actually looking forward to it. She's gonna save the time when it's possible for her to reserve that day, make sure she doesn't schedule for any work on Saturday, so she can come down with me. And, we're looking forward to this. And Drew's already bought tickets. I'm gonna have to get some tickets also.
Yeah, I bought 5 tickets, so I think everybody should buy more tickets than they need.
What's really neat is, actually, I think, Drew, you bought the first 5 tickets online. So
yeah,
I can imagine, hopefully if things go the way we think they might, you might just be a big part of history and be able to sell those on eBay for a pretty good job.
Well,
hey, wouldn't that be something?
Gary's dad bought the first 5 tickets, and then I bought the first 5 online to test out the system.
Yeah, we appreciate that greatly.
Yeah, it's processed through PayPal. So, and it worked quite efficiently.
Yeah, and we'll mail them out. I don't know if we're gonna have a will call on it but anyhow, we really appreciate that, Drew, and anybody that I thought about saying, gosh, even if you don't plan on coming, buy tickets, but I'm thinking, geez, you never know. I mean, it's like, I hope, usually you're hoping you can fill the place, and I just would hope we don't have to turn anybody away. So buy your tickets now, because there's going to be people buying tickets and not showing up, and I don't know how we're going to deal with that. The first 700 get in the door.
The great thing about this is, for us people here in Southern Oregon, we can go down there and you might even want to go down there on Friday, stay overnight in a hotel someplace, just kind of get a feel of the community, because you may want to move there if this becomes a reality. Because if they do this right, it could be the freest place in the Western Hemisphere, and it could be a place where you could actually live and be able to recoup all the energy you put into something is going to come back to you in the profits that you sell for. It's like Jordan was talking about the being paid for his music. Like he really needs to get paid for his music, but wouldn't it be great if he lived in a place where he got 100% instead of 70% with the government taking their cut, and then losing another 10% to a state government, or having to pay sales tax on something. If he got to keep all of it instead of just a percentage of it. That would be amazing. I think that a lot of people would like to live in a place like that, and they'd be very productive, good people. They'd be good people to have as neighbors. Yeah. This is your chance. Really, this is your chance, Southern Oregon.
Yeah, it is. It's, a lot of people, don't realize it, but, Southern Oregon, I always say Southern Oregon, Northern California. I'm always saying, in my mind, I'm saying Siskiyou County and Jackson County. That's where I spent most of my time. But, it's just, there's no California Oregon border in my mind. It's just, we're all part of the same people going back thousands of years, some of us. And, it's just a good place to be. It's a good place, good people here. And it's amazing because you're talking to some guy, 80 years old, bucking hay and, got a couple of, dents in his head from getting kicked by his mule. And, you wouldn't realize how intelligent, this person is. And, it's a very intelligent community, hardworking folks. And we're just excited to, be having this event and hopefully we can help out Southern Oregon when we, get our foot, in a strong foothold, when we're solid, we can reciprocate and then help you guys in any way we can, providing this does, go in our favor. So, yeah.
I think once you guys get, some traction on what you're doing, you're going to attract a lot of attention from here. I don't know if Southern Oregon was as interested in the, forming in another state with the statehood thing, but this other party, if it's explained properly and they understand what is possible, I think a lot of people are going to say, well, I'd be interested to know more about that. And they'd start doing their own research and I think it would generate a lot of support. And I hope that all of you guys, even if you decide the other way, just go down and take a look. Because I think once you hear this message of freedom that they're going to be telling you, you're going to want to join this movement and you're going to want to get behind it. And even if you can't vote, you can help fund advertising. You can sponsor things that they're doing. You can just keep yourself informed, and you can maybe become an action person in Jackson County that starts going around and spreading the message here, because we may want to join them. Who knows? So I think this is a great thing. Gary, would you come back again a week or two before the big date and give us some updates? And you don't have to stay on for the whole 2 hours if you're busy that day, but if you want to, you're welcome to. And we'll just keep promoting this thing up until the time it happens.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be my pleasure, and maybe I can get Anthony to join me. That would be great.
Well,
he loves you guys. He really enjoys your show. He's got a big old grin on his face, and when we were on it last time, and he had a blast. I enjoyed seeing that.
Well, we've never done this before. This is the third show in a row about the Jefferson Republic.
Well, that would be our honor.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you everybody for listening on a podcast. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope you had a good time, and we'll see you next week, Thursday night.
To break one more time.